You are now watching the Conversations on Sinology podcast, where China's past and present meet global curiosity. Join us as we explore Chinese language, literature, history, culture, economy, and ideas that have shaped one of the world's oldest traditions and play a powerful role in shaping today's world. Presented by the Montenegrin Sinology Development Council.
Welcome to another episode of the Conversations on Sinology podcast. I am delighted to announce that today we're joined by Dr. Manolis Spanakis, a distinguished Greek philologist, classicist, and scholar of Hellenistic poetry, whose academic journey bridges the Mediterranean and East Asia. Currently serving as a lecturer in Greek language and culture at Beijing Foreign Studies University, he brings a wealth of scholarly experience and teaching excellence to the heart of China's capital. Manolis is joining us from Beijing, bringing us first-hand insights from the field of language learning and education. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Spanakis.
Hello, dear Yelena. It is my pleasure to see you and greetings from Beijing. I am Manolis Spanakis, Doctor of Classics, and yes, here in Beijing Foreign Studies University, I teach modern Greek language and modern Greek literature, and I look forward to starting our wonderful conversation.
Me too, and thank you for your introduction. Please tell me, what's it like in Beijing right now? And you already said where you are joining us from.
So I am, yes, I am in my house right now. Beijing is, well, the weather is not so stable these days. One day it's very rainy and stormy, and the other day is sunshine and kind of hot because until the autumn comes, we have this kind of unstable weather. But it's very good. I'm coming back to my normal routine, to my classes. It's really good, really good. I feel when I'm here in Beijing, I feel very calm. I don't know why. It's
I
like a
remember that
second home for
feeling.
me.
Yes, thank you. I remember that feeling from my studies in Beijing. So everything that you just said about the weather and about the feeling when you are in Beijing is really resonates with me. Really, it's good to hear that and to remember those days. Just to offer a brief introduction to our audience, in today's episode of our podcast, we're exploring Sinology from a particularly unique and engaging angle through the eyes of Dr. Spanakis, who has navigated both sides of the classroom. As a foreign student of the Chinese language and culture, and now as a foreign teacher of modern Greek to Chinese students, Manolis brings a rare dual perspective to the table. An increasing number of people around the world are beginning to learn Chinese. When it comes to specialized training, compared to, say, French or another Western European language, learning Chinese requires approximately 5 times more contact hours in both spoken and written language in order to reach an equivalent level of proficiency. So, the first question that I'm going to ask you, Manolis, is from the
Mhm.
perspective of yourself as a Chinese language student. What's it like to learn the language which script is considered the longest continuously used writing system in the world in its own cultural setting?
It is a very nice question, actually.
Thank
Well,
you.
I will start saying that before 15 years, I had a colleague, a classmate, I would say, back in the university,
Mhm.
that started learning Chinese. And I told her, "What are you doing? Why Chinese and not a European language?" And she said something that now I understand,
Mhm.
that Chinese is the language of the future.
Mhm.
I understand it now because China has changed over the years, and I didn't expect myself being here. And now that I am a student of Chinese language, I would say that hearing them every day helps me more to learn the language. The language is difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy, I would say. But since I live here and try to communicate with the locals, it helps me learn easier. Not yet writing or reading. For me, it's quite difficult, and I have limited time due to my research and my classes as a teacher. But at least I try every day to learn new vocabulary, and I practice. The key for me is that I have the opportunity to practice in the real world, to go to the grocery shop, to go to the supermarket, to go to the library, to speak with locals without being afraid. If you are afraid, you lose the game.
Right.
For me, you don't have to be afraid. Make mistakes. I also say the same to my students. Do mistakes. It's not it's not wrong because from mistakes we learn. So maybe they will correct us, or maybe we will try to correct ourselves. But practice. The key is to practice. And I thank my colleagues that embraced me, and I have this opportunity to speak with them, to laugh, to enjoy the game of learning the language. It's a unique experience for me. Yeah.
Those are really, really beautiful messages and a beautiful answer. It definitely means a lot to learn the language and use the language in
Mhm.
a Chinese speaking environment, as we all know who experienced that. So thank you for that answer. Mm, Then I'm going to ask another question, if I may.
Mhm. Yes.
First, I'm gonna discuss a little bit when we are speaking about the Chinese language. One of the first thing to note is that, as you said, as we all have experienced, is that the writing system does not rely on an alphabet. Additionally, the process of word formation is unique. As learners progress, they soon realize that words are constructed from smaller components native to the language, each represented by individual character, or which there are thousands. So many of these characters have ancient origins dating back more than 3,000 years, and yet they are still used today to convey contemporary ideas. So my question would be, it is interesting that Mandarin, spoken as the first language by 1.3 billion people, is also considered one of the most difficult languages to learn, as you have just stated. How does this compare to the experience of foreigners learning Greek? What challenges do they face?
Actually, now that I am learning the language, the Chinese language, Mandarin, I notice that I have the same difficulties that my students have. For example, um, in Chinese language, there are no genders.
Right.
There are no different, not genders, different types of verbs. For example, first person, second person, third person, etc. So the problem my students face are, of course, the persons. When we
Mhm.
use first person, when we use
Yes.
second, third, they still struggling to conjugate the verbs, or they are still struggling to separate the nouns that have three genders: feminine, masculine, neutral. Um, and sometimes they give too much burden and too much emphasis on pronunciation. because Chinese language relies on pronunciation, and Greek does not basically rely on pronunciation so much. So they try to be precise in what they read, and sometimes they do mistakes because the pronunciation can be different, like in Chinese way. But I have the same problem in Chinese pronunciation. For example, I cannot remember the four tones yet in all the words. First, second, third,
Right.
and fourth tone. It's very difficult, but it can change the meaning. If you say the wrong tone, it changes the meaning. So I say them to repeat the word, and I try myself, I practice. Um, they also find difficult, my students find it difficult to remember where the one tone goes in Greek. In Greek, we have one tone. So it is difficult for them to remember where we put this tone in every word. So it's kind of some similarities between the two languages about the difficulties we face. But I notice that when I don't use English, but I use Chinese uh, in my teaching, they understand better the Greek word than in English. Of course, we have many challenges, and for me and for my students that we face every day. For example, writing, they are, as for me, characters are something new. In the same way, students face the same problem with the alphabet because the Greek alphabet is unique. It's not like the the Latin, as we say, alphabet. The Greek alphabet is quite unique. But I notice that we have the same interest with my students because Greek and Chinese have very ancient roots, very ancient origins. So, for example, the Chinese have the characters, and each character has a meaning, has a long history, the same way the Greek words have a long history back in the past about the meaning and how we write it and why we write it this way and not another way. What else? I think these are the main points of the difficulties we face and the similarities between the two languages and the
Thank you so much.
challenges.
Thank you so
Mhm.
much for that answer. I have just heard so many interesting points, and yes, at first I was wondering if my question made sense. I was um, at some point afraid that it didn't, but actually we just heard so many interesting things in your answer, and I think it would be safe to say that this discussion is getting really more and more interesting. And
Thank you.
you have just opened so many fields for discussion, and I'm very grateful for that. And giving your experience with Mandarin and its unique linguistic structure, do you think that Chinese studying background helps you better understand and connect with your Chinese students when teaching them Greek? Does knowing their language or studying their language, being in contact with their language, gives you insight into their learning process or challenges that other teachers might not have?
Of course, yes. Thank you very much for the question. Very interesting, actually, because we have two completely different ways of thinking. Greeks think in one way, Chinese way of thinking is completely different. Also, in cultural background, in learning background, in so many fields. So try to learning the language is not, it's just one part. There are many parts. Language, going out, going to the restaurant, going to a cafe, going to museums, going to archaeological sites, all these are part of the Chinese background. So what I do when I teach Greek, I notice the way they are thinking and the way they are behaving. So I try to understand them, and luckily they do the same. They are observing me in my way of teaching. So they just imagine, oh, this is a Greek teacher, how Greeks would be. And I do the same, but I see them. Of course, they are Chinese. I live in China, but they do the same, and they imagine, oh, she's acting like this. She has this style, this rhythm, and I do the same. I observe them. I try to understand them, and this helped me a lot in my teaching and how I behave to them, how
Yeah.
I try to be gentle, but also try to transfer knowledge. And sometimes I speak to them Chinese and they seem very happy. And also I try to, on my part, to show them videos and make comparisons between Greeks and Chinese and say, again, similarities, differences. So, teaching is only one part. There are many parts in living in China. It's different way. We have to understand them. They do the same. Chinese people also do the same. They try to understand foreigners. So if there is this interaction, the result is very good.
Right.
Is actually the best because we just bridge the gap. We build a kind of bridge and unite the two cultures. And of course, the interest is mutual. Yeah. It actually solves the problem of communication. I think also for them that they learn Greek, and also for me that I learn Chinese, interaction is the best way. Is the best way
Thank you. This
to
will resonate.
understand.
Thank you. Beautiful. This will resonate to so many people who have ever taught a foreign language to Chinese students while also learning Chinese language and with this with a certain knowledge of it. So as you know, in Chinese, the word structure is closely linked to a fixed set of syllables, following a
Mhm.
fairly strict arrangement of morphemes, the smallest meaningful units in the language. Although many single syllable morphemes, 字 in Chinese, can function independently as words. They frequently combine into multisyllabic units called 词, which are more similar to the concept of a word in the Western languages. Typically, a Chinese word 词 is made up of two characters, morphemes, though some can include three or more. So,
Mm.
Dr. Spanakis, as someone who teaches modern Greek to Chinese students, how do these fundamental differences in language structure, especially the use of an alphabet versus characters, or how words are formed, affect the way your students learn Greek? Are there specific challenges other than the ones that you have already mentioned, or even surprising advantages that you have noticed?
Well, also a nice question. What my students always say, is that Greek language has big words because the unique characteristic of Greek language is that there are many compound words. We can take one, two, or three words like the German language and unite them and create a new word. This has some similarities and differences, I would say, with the Chinese language. In the Chinese language, I'm not sure, three characters may combine a whole sentence, a whole phrase. I'm not really sure about that. I'm still in a basic level, but they notice that the Greek language has huge sentences without full stop. We can have 3 lines of a sentence without stop. So they keep telling me, Manolis, it's too big.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do? And in helping them, I try to say break the words into their components. And we try together to interpret the components, and then they manage to tell the meaning of the new word.
Wonderful.
So I understand that Chinese writing system is shorter.
Mm-hmm.
So if we meet a very big sentence, we try to take word by word, break the words, and try to understand first their meanings and then to translate the sentence. For me, I face the same difficulty, but in the opposite way. I mean, they're very short. A sentence can be very short in Chinese. So I tell my teacher how to do that. And she actually tells me, try first to see each character, and we explain the characters, also the historical background. For example, if we meet a character with water, then we try to interpret the 3 kind of lines that look like water, and then we see, this means river. It has the water, so yes, or I don't remember many of the words I have learned, unfortunately. But actually, the way of teaching is similar both to Chinese and both to Greeks. And I think that the Chinese people learn easier the Greek language than the English language. They're more used to the English language, but I observe that when they learn Greek, they are very fascinated because the structure can be interesting, not the same, but interesting in the way of exploring and analyzing.
Definitely.
Yes, there are many challenges and many ways, many ways.
I can
Yeah.
imagine. I can imagine. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure that your teaching methods and efforts are very well appreciated among your students and very successful. And as an educator, you have taught courses in ancient Greek, Latin, and Greek literature from Homer to late antiquity. Your pedagogical reach extends from European university classroom to digital seminars and international lectures in China, including recent contributions to digital humanities and intercultural education forums. You have received multiple academic honors. So, as a classicist, do you use your knowledge through the course of teaching, and how?
Always. I cannot escape from classics. I cannot escape from my major, from my research. And what I try to tell to my students in the department, and also in the elective course that I do for Chinese students of other departments, that if you learn modern Greek and you want to understand the Greek civilization, you have to go back to antiquity. and you have to understand how modern Greek identity was shaped. That modern Greek identity was shaped from the past, from Greeks realizing during the Ottoman rule that they had a past and they had to fight for their independence. And for their independence, the past was the savior, actually. Um, yes, I use classics many times also in modern Greek literature because modernist writers relied on mythology, on heroes, on the gods to shape um, the future. Also in language, in the words, in the Greek words, many of them you cannot understand their meaning if you don't go back to the ancient Greek roots. For example, I had some Chinese students in the elective course that they are from the classics department, from the Latin actually, but they have learned some ancient Greek. And I taught them about the word nero, which means water. So one student raised his hand and asked me, it's not either. And I said, no, either is the ancient Greek word. Now we use the word nero, but some compound words use the word either and not nero. For example, hydragogio, which is the factory that we produce the water. We don't use nero, we use either. I mean, to interpret the word, we use the ancient Greek roots. Um, Also in culture, the Acropolis, the Parthenon. You cannot teach modern Greek culture without mentioning Acropolis, without mentioning the Parthenon and the ancient Greek temples. What else? The way of thinking, philosophy. Understanding Greeks is understanding their philosophy, understanding Aristotle, Plato. We have many courses in the department about Greek civilization, how it was formed during the centuries, not only the modern one, but also the oldest one. It's necessary. It's a continuity. It's a part of continuation. We cannot escape from classics if we want to understand Greece. And if I want to do a proper, as I would say, lesson, many times I have to discuss about classics and antiquity.
I would
Yeah,
love to hear one of
it's
your
necessary.
lessons. I would really love to hear that. And absolutely, I agree. And we are speaking about two ancient civilizations and ancient languages. And
Exactly.
absolutely, whether you're learning Greek or Chinese, you cannot not learn them without a broader context. We cannot explore the
Hmm.
language without exploring the culture. One does not go without the other, and it absolutely makes sense. So I'm absolutely sure that you have really interesting lectures.
And
Lectures,
I try them to be vivid. And so
absolutely.
when I learn Chinese, I try to be also alive. For example, before 3 years, it was the year of the dragon.
Uh-huh.
Before 2 years, sorry, it was the year of the dragon.
Right.
So I was born in the year of the dragon, and I have to wear this kind of, I
I
don't know if
read.
you know this.
Yes.
Yes, the red one. So my colleagues told me that if I wear this this year, I will avoid bad luck.
Right.
So yes, I will wear it and leave the cultural background of China in order
Right.
to understand it is to participate,
It's a good
to
example.
engage. Yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah,
good. It's a simple and good
yeah.
example that all of us have experienced who have ever
Hmm.
been to China. And lastly, my last question is going to be like this: do you agree that learning a foreign language is not merely about acquiring new vocabulary or grammar, but about immersing oneself in an entirely different way of thinking. In that context, is there something that connects Greek and Chinese way of thinking? And where do the differences lie? In philosophy, expression, or even in the rhythm of the conversation?
Hmm. Yes, actually, well, there is a completely different way of thinking
Mhm, mhm,
between Greece and China. There are, of course, similarities, but there are also big differences. For example, my students told me that I am very slow. So I told them that it's my way of thinking, it's my way of Greece, that I don't hurry, I don't rush.
mhm,
I try to do things thoroughly, step by step, because my students say, no, we have to do them quickly, quickly. And here I use the two proverbs that the one who rushes falls down.
mhm,
There is a Greek kind of modern Greek proverb that they use. So they said to me, we have a kind of different philosophy that uh, it's better to do things quickly, as they at least told me. Another difference is the coffee and tea. Greeks drink a lot of coffee. Chinese drink a lot of tea.
mhm,
So they usually make jokes. My students make jokes on me that, did you drink today your coffee? Oh, not yet. First the class, then the coffee, I tell them. And I respond to them about the joke, and I tell them, did you drink your tea?
mhm,
Or it's not only teaching the language, it's kind of transferring and emerging ourselves to different cultural backgrounds. Of course, my students, some of them went to Greece this summer in Crete, in my homeland, and now they tell me that we can better understand you, teacher, because we live some of the Greek way you taught us about. And I say to them, of course, because you went to Crete, you went to Greece, and you saw how Greeks are thinking. You spoke with the locals. And I tell them, I understand you because I feel the same way here. It's kind of not only language and words and phrases, it's kind of different philosophy, kinds of different customs, how you must behave here is completely different from the European system. Um, so when, of course, I do mistakes sometimes in my behavior, maybe, but they are patient as me. I am patient, and they show me the way, so I learn. Uh, so I would say we both pass this process of emerging. Me in trying to transfer my culture, trying to transfer my way of thinking, and they, in their turn, they try to transfer their knowledge and their way of behaving in China. So they tell me something, and I see this outside in the world, in the city, in the streets. It's a whole emerging system with different kind of attitudes, and of course, we always learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a way,
Yes.
it's a
And
process. Yeah.
Dr. Spanakis, thank you. I'm going to thank you so very much for
Me
joining today's
too.
episode of Conversations on Sinology. And from my point of view, today's discussion was very insightful. And as I engaged in it from both perspectives, although slightly different than yours, I engaged in it as a foreigner who studied Chinese and somebody who dedicated a very interesting part in a career to teaching Chinese to Montenegrin students, but also
Mm.
somebody with experience in teaching Chinese students English in China. So thank you for this conversation, and I Wish you a wonderful day, hoping that you will be a guest of another episode.
Thank you very much, dear Elena. It was a very thoughtful conversation. And what I have to say to close this conversation is that it's different if you are a teacher here in China than teaching in Europe to Chinese
Right,
students. It's
definitely.
completely different, because
Absolutely.
they are also in a different environment and they face the same challenges that we face here. But here, I think the process is easier for them than teaching a foreign language in Europe. I mean, teaching Greek in Greece to Chinese students. It's completely different, I think.
As somebody who has experienced both scenarios, I could not agree more. So thank you for the
Yeah,
conclusion. And to
yeah.
our audience, stay curious, keep exploring, and see you in the next episode of Conversations on Sinology podcast. Bye.
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 Goodbye.